All right, I think we're live on both.
Don't.
Let me make sure that we're live on Twitch. It says live, so looks like we are.
The Slayer has.
Oh, shit, we got audio from something. Am I echoing? Maybe it was just Hassan stream. What out? What up, Casey? Announcement, let's go. Yeah, we got some cool stuff to talk about today. What up, Casey? Announcement, let's go. Oh, I'm hearing an echo for sure. Yeah, we got some cool stuff to talk about today. What up, Casey?
No, stop.
Announcement, let's go. I'm hearing an echo for sure. Yeah, we got some cool stuff to talk. All right, I'm just closing out of the tab. Fuck it. Oopsie. What's up, puzzle? Let me post on Discord that we're live and all that. How do I get the YouTube stream? I guess I grab I do the share thing, right? Video link. What's up, Nog? And notifications at Twitch gang. And then the Twitch link as well. Boom. I gotta set up the bot to post in the Discord again, but it's hard with YouTube because there's a different link every time. I wonder if there's just a generic stream link you can post in YouTube. But anyway, what's up, everybody? We're streaming again today. Oh! We're back to the old grind. I look a little bit crazy. I need a haircut. That's what I need. Oh, it's been a while, everybody. It's been a while since I've done a stream. I said I was gonna do weekly streams alongside the weekly videos, but I've been struggling to get the weekly videos. StreamCord, I think, does that. That'd be super sick. I'll check them out. StreamCord. I'll just like throw that up. And just like take a mind picture of that name so that I can try to remember that. Thanks, Anthony. What's up, David? Dinobot, both Twitch and YouTube. Okay, Dinobot as well. One of those. Just grinding Phantom Pain, goated game, TBH. Yeah, Phantom Pain is pretty good. As a fan of the Metal Gear Solid stories, I don't love it. I think the story of that game was very much a miss. Gameplay wise, I respect it for what it is. I definitely enjoyed it for many hours. When it came out, you know, I got a good like 200 hours out of that game, which is a lot for a Metal Gear game. You know, most of the Metal Gear games are like 20 hours, maybe. Probably less, honestly, even that. Maybe 10 hours. I think Metal Gear Solid 4 took me, I think my first save file was like 24 hours on the dot. For Metal Gear Solid 4, but I got like 200 hours in Phantom Pain before I finally felt like I had squeezed all the juice out of it. The problem with Phantom Pain is that it's not nearly as replayable as the other entries in the series. Now, Metal Gear Solid 4 is not really replayable. It wants to be. It really wants to be because you get the different code names at the end of the game. You unlock different like ranks, and the game actually keeps track on New Game Plus of all the ranks you've done. And there's even an achievement once they finally added trophies to the game. They finally added one to get all of those code names. There's like 40 different ones, which you can get multiple in one run, so it doesn't take like 40 New Game Pluses. But there's definitely the game wants to be replayable, but the problem is that Metal Gear Solid 4 is it's so much skipping cutscenes, and it's so much just like running from cutscene to cutscene rather than actually having action and gameplay in between, that it's just really, it doesn't feel replayable. But Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 are very replayable. Metal Gear Solid 3 a little bit less. But I just love writing basses with my dog and classic tunes in the background. That is what you play Metal Gear Solid 5 for. It's just a different kind of game. It's just definitely a different kind of game than the other Metal Gear games, which is fine. You know, nothing wrong with that. 2 probably my favorite. 2 might be my favorite. You guys know if you get me started talking about Metal Gear, 2 might be my favorite actually. I keep going back and forth. For a long time it was 1. For a long time it was 3. Now I'm thinking as I get older, I think it might be 2. I think it might be 2, especially when you count all the substance add-ons, all the substance editions, the boss survival, the VR missions, the Snake Tales, all the extra content outside the main story. That's what really elevates Metal Gear Solid 2 for me. Whereas Metal Gear Solid 3 doesn't really have that. It did on original release. The subsistence release of Metal Gear Solid 3 had a dual mode, which was basically boss survival. It had the Snake versus Monkey mini games, which were pretty fun. Yo, Anthony's also playing through them for the first time. Yo, MGS2 is a trip for sure. What a fucking series indeed. But I feel like every leftist has to play Metal Gear at least once. I feel like every leftist gamer has to play Metal Gear at least once in their lifetime. I've never played any of them, but I've seen Need speedrun 1 several times. Yeah. Casey was the reason that we had initially had to raise the bit minimum on Twitch. For you guys that don't know, on Twitch, you've got like the meta currency of like the bits that you can buy. And if you you can buy a certain number of bits, but then you can cheer in like as small an increment as you want, or as small an increment as like the stream allows you to. And Casey would just like buy like $1 or $2 of bits, and would just cheer like 1 bit, but like over and over and over again. So it would constantly trigger the alert. And I was like, you know, Casey, it's hard to be mad at you giving me money, but it also feels like I'm sitting here trying to speedrun and you're just throwing pennies at my head, like at the back of my head while I'm trying to do it. So it's like, I've got a bucket collecting the pennies, but it still is like, come on, man, we got to do something about this. So I had to raise it. I think I raised it to just like 5 cents or something like that, 5 bits. And that helped. Yeah, Raiden's character development in MGS2 is seriously underrated. It's hard because Raiden is so fucking annoying for a good chunk of Metal Gear Solid 2. But really, when you are able to get past that and you are able to invest yourself in the character, it's worth it. He's got a really cool story to him. After MGS5, I'm gonna try Revengeance. Yes. Rising Revengeance, which is the silliest name for the silliest game in the silliest series of games ever made, but it unironically goes hard. Revengeance is a lot of people's favorite Metal Gear game just because it's so different. What are we announcing? We're gonna let people kind of roll in for a few minutes, and then we'll get to it. But if you're fans of the stream, and if you're fans of Nina on the Rocks live streams, I think you're going to be happy with it. Stream Elements coming in with the donating to Rad thing. I need to actually disable that because I don't really know that I have that campaign really set up anymore. But if you guys want to, you guys should absolutely donate to Rad if you can. But I also haven't seen that pop up in a while, so I don't know why that's popping up now. But we haven't done it. We haven't done a charity campaign in quite a while. Recession indicators getting sent a sperm donation ad while trying to watch your friend stream. That's Twitch for you, man. That is Twitch for you. The ads on this site, I swear to God. The ads on this site. I need to spruce up the stream a little bit. I want to be able to play music again, but I need to set up to make sure that the YouTube stream and the Twitch VOD stream get different things. Because I don't plan on playing like copyrighted music, but I do want to play some music from some maybe some like different games and such that I'm afraid might still trigger YouTube's shit. So but I haven't set that up yet, so I haven't really like seen how to set that up. I used to be on top of it, man. I used to have like the cutting edge of like all the streamer tech and having all the kinds of the crazy stuff going on. But nowadays I just like if I have to, if there's any resistance between hitting me hitting start streaming, it's too much. All right, I'll see you later, Casey. Thanks for stopping in, brother. Luckily, most of what I have set up just works now. So I try to. That's what I try to do. I'm as long as I can just set it up once and then it just works, it's fine. It's the stuff that I have to like constantly manage in between streams that I'm not about anymore. But anyways, how's everybody been doing? It's been a while since I've been able to do a live stream. True. Big reason a lot of people I think have pivoted to PNG and VTubing. I'm even kind of interested in it. I think it'd be cool. Set up a little cartoon neat in the corner, or even just since the Sonic sprites have become so iconic. With and Sonic's become kind of a little unofficial mascot of the stream, having a little just Sonic sprite type thing going on in the corner. Be kind of cute. Some monkey. Did 3 playthroughs of Lies of P. I did. I got what I found the other day. I found this game called King of the Mountain, or sorry, King of the Bridge. I found this game called King of the Bridge on YouTube, and I saw like 5 minutes of gameplay of it, and I was like, I need to play this. And I 100% it in like one day. Like it's a short game. It's like an indie game. And it just has like a handful of achievements to get. And it's like $2 on Steam. But it's really cool. It's really great if you like puzzle games, or if you like chess. Or if you like chess and puzzle games, especially like me. Been fiddling with a story concept that's been stuck in my head. That's cool. Wondering what you're gonna do with that. Story like a book, or like a fan fiction, like a video series, like a game. Like what are we thinking? I've been fiddling with some with some concepts myself. I might have to I need to keep an eye out. I might need to pause the stream. Not pause the stream, but I guess throw on a be right back screen at some point. Which I actually don't think I have a YouTube be right back screen, but at some point I guess I'm supposed to be getting a grocery delivery here. I did hit checkout on that, right? Yeah, I did. Okay, so it should be coming in at some point. So I'm gonna keep an eye on my phone, make sure if that shows up, I'm gonna run those groceries in. Pre-ordered your Switch too. Let's go. lock in that pre-tariff price. Something like a novella or a comic. Nice. When I was in college, I came up with this concept for kind of a novel type thing. I came up with this story, but I was trying to be too clever with it. It was all just kinds of concepts. It was things that I wanted to write about in terms of like politics and toxic masculinity, and these things that I was thinking about a lot at the time, that I wanted to incorporate into a novel into like metaphor. And I was like, I could just like talk about these things, and I could just talk about these things on stream and make videos about these things and call it a day instead of obscuring it through layers of metaphor and allegory. And so I kind of I never quite worked out how I was going to tie all those things together into a novel. Sup, cool dude? Bye, cool dude. But anyways, there's something I wanted to chat with you guys about. I'll go ahead and kick it in. I think we've got most of the regular Twitch people here. And on YouTube, the cool thing is you can just go back. So I think we'll go ahead and talk about what we want to talk about today. Just dive in. So the cool announcement, I was actually preparing a graphic to pull up on stream before the stream started, and Affinity Designer crashed, and then it didn't save a recovery file, so it completely wiped what I had done. So I was like, oh, fuck it, I'll just talk about it. And so what I'll do is I'll move over to the display capture, and I'll use my fancy new drawing tablet that I got for my birthday, and we'll talk about it on here. Oh shit, is the software not set up for? Why is it doing the wrong monitor? Let's see, what is it? What the working area? Choose this display. Yeah, there we go. Now if I do it, all right, here we go. Let's go. So I wanted to, the only thing that annoys me about it is when it enters pen mode, I can't like grab my mouse and middle click to like move around anymore. I have to come down here and hit the pen and move around, and then come down here and hit the pen and then write again. But at least I have a button I can Control Z, so there's that. But anyway, so we got big announcement. The smiley's kind of creepy. So as you guys know, as some of you guys know, it's been a while since we had a really like a regular stream schedule around here. So I started streaming seriously in about 2019. And for about 2 years, I was very consistently live streaming. I was doing streams. At first I was doing 5 streams a week. I was streaming every day except for, I want to say, Tuesday and Thursday. I was doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, pretty consistently. And then that got to be a lot. Doing 5 days a week was quite a bit. And so I actually swapped my days out, where I was doing Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. I was streaming on every day except for the ones that start with the M and W. Then as things got a little bit more hectic and I started to get a little bit of a social life back after COVID, I went down to Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. And then when I actually became a full-time creator, I had a stream where I announced that I would be going to a more flexible streaming schedule, where I was going to kind of play around with maybe streaming during the day, streaming in the morning, streaming at night, streaming at different parts of the day, different daily schedules. And what that did was it completely threw me out of whack. And I pretty much have not had a regular streaming schedule since. And I quickly fell off and stopped streaming regularly at all. And would really only have streams every once in a while. And we would come back for a few weeks, and then I'd give it a break for a while. I really started focusing on videos as my main form of content delivery. So we really have not had a solid, consistent streaming schedule since I think that was 2021. been almost 4 years now, almost to the month, almost to the day even. It's been almost 4 years since we've had a consistent streaming schedule here on the channel. So the big announcement is I'm back. I'm back with the consistent stream schedule. We're going to be starting with Tuesdays. And what day is it today, chat? Thursdays. That's how you spell it. We're doing Tuesdays and Thursdays. So the idea is we are. If I gotta do this again, I can still zoom in. This is what we'll do. Kind of zoom into there, maybe here. So on Tuesdays, we'll even F11 so we can get the full Monty, if you will. So the idea is that Tuesdays we're gonna do, just chatting. Fidgy games. ETC. This is going to be our kind of general days. This is going to be for everything you guys are usually used to talking about. Today even might be one of those streams rather than what Thursdays are for. Thursdays are D&D day. And we can kind of scoot over a little bit so that we can see. Thursday is going to be D&D day, which might be controversial. might be a little bit wonky at first with people who have come to the channel for things other than tabletop RPGs. But really, and that's something else I was going to say, is really we're going to X this out and put or even we use the fancy colors. Say tabletop RPG day, because really what I want to talk about is stuff that isn't necessarily D&D, and in fact what I want to do long term. So if you guys have been following the channel, you've been following my tabletop RPG talk, you guys know that I've been a big fan of D&D for a long time. I've played D&D since I was in college. I've played D&D for almost 10 years now. In fact, this fall will mark my 10 years playing D&D. I no longer support Wizards of the Coast or like the Dungeons and Dragons brand. In fact, I've recently moved to a system called Pathfinder, specifically Pathfinder 2, which is kind of an offshoot of D&D. It uses kind of D&D as a jumping off point in terms of like rules and lore to establish kind of their own thing that's legally distinct. And I think long term, I want to develop the neat TTRPG. Pathfinder 2 is published under its own license, called the open, not the open game license, the open, it's called the ORC, the ORC, which is its own kind of Creative Commons type license that allows people to use the Pathfinder material to create their own RPGs. And I think I want to create my own edition of Pathfinder, essentially, or really make it different enough that it could be you could consider it a new RPG, its own RPG. That's kind of a long-term goal of mine, because I'm finding a lot of things about Pathfinder that I enjoy more than D&D. but it's still not quite perfect, right? But what it's helped me to do is, you know, and actually this is a great use of the whiteboard. We'll come over here. Is kind of when you've got kind of your, you know, you've got like somewhere you want to be. You know, this is kind of like, you know, your destination is somewhere in this is somewhere in this circle, right? I wish you can kind of see. I guess I could pull out the laser pointer, but like your destination's somewhere in this circle, right? And you've got something. You've got D&D over here. Really, I should say. You've got D&D over here. In its own circle. And then you've got Pathfinder over here. And we can see that the distance to the Pathfinder is much closer to our destination than D&D. And then we've got like, you know, other RPGs all the way over here. So we can see that D&D and Pathfinder are close to what I want out of an RPG. But really what I want is I want kind of something, because now that I've played D&D and now that I've played Pathfinder, I can almost use them to kind of triangulate, like, okay, this right here, this is where I want the neat RPG to be. I want it to be kind of a combination of take the best things from both, and add a few little pieces of the neat spice in. And it's really been thinking about house rules for Pathfinder 2 and thinking about different ways that I would do RPG related stuff has really been scratching my kind of game design itch lately. And that's kind of something that I really want to talk about on the channel. It's something I really want to make content about. So Thursdays are going to be for prepping for my Thursday night game. Sometimes my friends and I get together on Thursday nights and we'll play Pathfinder. And so you guys could see me prep for that game in real time. We'll do things like dungeon design. We'll do things like world design. We'll do things like lore. And we'll do things like actually designing rules and designing game features and stuff for me to eventually create my own version of what Pathfinder's got going on. I want to make a lot of changes to kind of there are some core mechanics I want to change to Pathfinder, and there are some character class options that I want to change from Pathfinder and create into a legally distinct RPG, I think. And that'll be kind of the long-term goal, and we'll just kind of like take the steps to get there on Thursdays and turn it into an excuse to have a stream where we talk about it and do it. So I'll still be making videos on all the stuff I've been making videos about so far. We'll still have Sonic videos. We'll still have these Real Talk Classics. We'll have these, kind of self-help type, whatever you call them, that I've been doing. Psychology, whatever you want to call them. Philosophy. And we'll also have D&D. I decided that my days of splitting up into here's the Neon on the Rocks D&D channel, and here's the Neon on the Rocks music channel, and here's the editing channel, and here's all that, like those days are over. This is just the Neon on the Rocks channel, and this is the day. This is the time where I want to just take everything that I find cool and make content about it, and not abide by these rules that I've set out by trying to crack the algorithm and all this bullshit, and just make cool shit. So that's gonna be our kind of prerogative. And this is going to be our new stream schedule. I mentioned in a stream last month that I wanted to start doing weekly videos and weekly streams. Yo, and Hyatt comes in with the 65 months shout outs. And you can see how to get the Stream Elements bot not to show up in the little chat box here. But thanks for the 65 months, Haya. By the way, great time for a plug. If you guys want to support the channel, We've got memberships going on over at neonrocks.com. We got our new membership layout, a new membership program set up. You guys know I've done Patreon and memberships in the past, and I've been kind of lax on actually delivering on the stuff that I promise in the different tiers. But I revamped everything on the website. I revamped how the memberships work. I revamped the tiers. And the main tier now is the $10 tier, which is now renamed to the Neat Club. That is now the Neat Club tier. And with every video I've put out so far, I've put out a bonus video for Neat Club members. So if you want to get literally twice as much content, save for live streams, if you want literally twice as much video content, you can become a member over on neontherocks.com. Become a member of the Neat Club. And there's a bonus video for the previous Sonic video. There's the previous philosophy video has I talk about like the meaning of life in one of them. There's an extended edition. There's like a Lord of the Rings extended edition of like that 3-hour Sonic Zone analysis that I did. There's an extended cut of that on the membership. So that's something you guys can look into. If I know the economy is tight, and I've had to pull back myself from different memberships that I've had with different creators. So I understand that that's hard on everybody right now. I know we didn't want this. I know most of you did not want this to happen. Did not want our economy to go in this direction, but we're doing our best. So I understand that things are hard right now, but if you guys have a few extra bucks and you want to support a creator, that's my shill for the day. So that is neontherocks.com. But anyways, I'm happy to finally incorporate. I mentioned last month that I wanted to start doing weekly videos and weekly streams, and I'm starting to get on track with the weekly videos. I'm having trouble getting a video out this week, just because this next video is more ambitious. I've basically had a really ambitious video that I've now put off for like several weeks, by doing smaller videos instead, and now I'm thinking I'm gonna have to do that for yet another week in a row, which is unfortunate. But I think I'm gonna do a smaller video that I can get out just over the weekend, and then spend all of next week working on this bigger video to hopefully get it out next week. So excuse me, but I'm happy to say that I think that it's finally time for regular streams to become part of what we do here again. I think that I have kind of lost my way in terms of really appreciating how much community engagement really means to me. I think that I've really realized over the last couple of weeks that YouTube comments and putting out videos is no replacement for the satisfaction I get out of connecting with you guys one-on-one through live streams. So I think that the time has come for us to finally get back into regular streams. So it's been I know it's been a long time coming. Some of you guys have been waiting for quite a while for me to come to this conclusion. But I think we're finally going to do it. So yeah. That's the big announcement for the day. Any questions? Any questions from the class, I guess? To clarify as well, I think I want to do some D&D videos as well, some tabletop RPG related videos. But I'm less confident in those. I really don't want to kind of stray away from... I don't want to stray too far into D&D videos just because the D&D side of YouTube is just really kind of weird. Lately, it's just been kind of wonk. A lot of it is just drama, just because Wizards of the Coast is just fucking everything up. And there's just honestly not a whole lot to, there's just not a hell of a lot going on in terms of the other kind of RPG space. I don't know that it's really going to, but I mean, There's this YouTube channel I've been following now lately. They're called the Knights of Last Call, and they actually have about half the number of subscribers that I do. And they've created a really, really, really cool, a really cool community around mostly Pathfinder, but also just RPGs in general. And while I never see myself being as dedicated as they are to just doing RPG content, it's really inspired me. Shout outs to the homies over there. His name's Derek, over at Knights of Last Call. He's a really cool guy. I've been watching his streams almost every morning. I'll throw on a stream of his, just throw on a stream VOD while I exercise. Really cool dude, has a lot of great insights on RPGs, and has really inspired me to really kind of get into really sharing with you guys what I do in terms of the RPG space. Now I'll have to do the D&D streams while I know my friends are at work. Because I know that if I gotta make sure that my homies that are in my Pathfinder game don't see spoilers and don't see me setting up the boss fights and stuff for them. But I'm gonna give you guys the behind the scenes. You guys are gonna see how I set up. I've got this cool program called Foundry that I run Pathfinder games on. And if we get into it and you guys are enjoying the streams and you guys are enjoying talking about RPGs, and we are able to kind of build a subsection of the Neat on the Rocks community around, if we can build a portion of the network around RPGs, then I don't see why we can't eventually start to get into stuff like community games. And maybe even have me run a game for some potentially some members of the community or some paid members. I think that that seems entirely possible. I've not really looked at Lancer, actually. I've not really heard of it. Hell yeah, Foundry. Hyatt, you were one of the reasons I got Tailspire, actually. I noticed that I was looking into different virtual tabletop options, and I found Tailspire, and I saw that you had bought it and you had used it for a while, a little bit, and I was like, well, shit, if Haya thinks it's good, then I don't know that you've used it a hell of a lot. I don't think I've seen your hours on it change since I bought it, but I was like, well, I mean. Good enough for Haya, then it's good enough for me, right? But yeah, so I'm not gonna. I don't like Tailspire as a virtual tabletop. I think I'm still gonna use Foundry for all of the virtual tabletop stuff. But I think, but I've built a few. Maps in Tailspire, just to use the 3D. Just to use the 3D. The 3D kind of setup. And I think that I think we're going to use kind of a hybrid of Tailspire for kind of the visual feedback, and then for like the map, and then probably just screen share it over Discord, and then having the homies in Foundry still, mainly because I've bought Foundry and I don't want to make them use two different systems, and I don't want to make everything in Tailspire. Basically, Lancer is sci-fi. I see. They just released the Starfinder second edition playtest, which is looking pretty cool. I'm gonna take some stuff. I always love the idea of incorporating some sci-fi stuff into the fantasy role-playing games. I like incorporating a little bit of sci-fi into my D&D games. So I'm going to be taking stuff from Starfinder and putting in my Pathfinder game. And they're built to be kind of cross-compatible like that. So I'll definitely be doing a little bit of that. Lancer also doesn't use a currency system because it takes place in a socialist setting. So it's more Star Trek than Cyberpunk. That's cool. That's dope. Yeah, I'm super excited. I was really appreciative that my girlfriend's parents were so generous as to give me this drawing tablet for my birthday because oh shit, I can't even do my own damn I can't even remember my own damn logo anymore. It's like how did it go? It was like the saxophone, right? But anyway, there's did I do capital? I don't know that I did capital OT8 or O and T. I think I only did the lowercase O and T. But it works really well. Works really well. Quite happy with it. And I get to finally be one of those streamers that busts out the whiteboard and demonstrates a bunch of stuff on stream and be like Thor. Of course, he just uses a mouse and fucking MS Paint. But up Shano. Yeah, Shano's the one I gotta keep an eye out for. He's gonna be the one that's gonna be. He's gonna pop in. He's gonna pop in with a fucking. He's gonna pop in with a sub, right when I'm like dropping mad spoilers for his Pathfinder character. I got mad shit planned for his Pathfinder character. We're gonna talk about it. I got some cool stuff, specifically in the next dungeon, Shano. We got some cool stuff planned for you. I basically sub so Noah can buy me a nice birthday / Christmas present, and then I don't even do that because I'm a piece of shit. Actually, I do have something related to Pathfinder that was originally going to be a Christmas present, and now it's been so long, and our game has taken so long and has been so slow to start up that it's now like that it was going to be like kind of Jade's birthday present, and now it's going to be kind of Ish and Isaiah's birthday present is what it's going to turn out to be. But it's a gift for all of you guys that I've been sitting on since we started planning having a Pathfinder game in the works. But that'll be coming relatively soon. If we can get through this dungeon tomorrow night. But ugh. But anyways, yeah, that's kind of all I had to talk about today. We'll keep streaming for now. But yeah, I'm kind of open for whatever you guys want to talk about. Oh, except that's my cue to grab my groceries. So, oh, but what I can do, I can come over here. I can do. How about that, chat? How about that? Ugh. There we go. I only had a few things to put in the fridge. I don't really have anything to put my headphones on for. I didn't have much to put in the fridge, so I'll just put the rest away later. So anyways, that's going to be the new stream schedule for a while. We may do more, depending on how much. If I can get into a real great groove with videos, then we may be able to do more streams. Just depends on how much I want to play games on stream and how much we have to like talk about. Excuse me. Oh, I like that idea, Haya. I've always been bothered by that. The curtains were just fucking blue bullshit. Like the death of what is it? I did see a video lately that was like I didn't get to watch the video, but the title was like the blue curtains and the death of metaphor or something like that. I was like, man, it's always bothered me when people that meme of the blue curtains just being blue curtains has always driven me crazy. What are you planning to play on stream? I've been really thinking about cutting down on the amount of video games I play outside of stream, and then just allowing myself to have some casual gaming fun on stream. Lately, I've been guilty of doing things like putting on, like playing Battlefield 4 for hours on end, and just doing it while just having YouTube videos going on. And it's like this would be the kind of thing that I would do on stream, but I've been enjoying having time to myself. But I think that I want to start changing my mindset toward, spending my time for myself, spending that doing things that are not necessarily more productive for the sake of productivity, but more creatively engaging for the sake of being creatively engaging. And then having stream time being a time where I can be, a little bit on stream time where I want to be. I could be maybe a little bit less creative and a little bit more casual and hang out and also just get back into streaming video games and being an entertainer, as well as a commentator. I feel like I've slowly transitioned from, and I do mean slowly, I've transitioned from being an entertainer in the stream space to being a commentator. And I do think being a commentator is more my style. And I do think that my overall creative energy has been better spent in sort of the commentary space. And I do find it, more fulfilling, and it obviously brings in more viewers. I think it's more kind of what I was suited for, but I also, I really miss being an entertainer to a certain extent. I miss, the game streams. I miss the gaming streams and feeling good about just being on and being entertaining and being able to share funny moments with people. So many times now, there'll be things that happen in real life that like it won't be appropriate for me to make a streamer quip or have like a streamer reaction to, if that makes any sense. And I'm just like, man, this would be great if I were on stream. Chat would think this is hilarious right now. And if I were on stream more, those moments would be happening to me more on stream. And there's times in gaming as well when I'm playing Battlefield and I'm like, God damn, this would be a clip and a half right here if I was recording or if I was streaming or whatever. But that's so real. Now I was thinking about it the other day. I do think being a streamer for so long cooked my brain a little bit and cooked the way I socialize a little bit. I've always, I try to be, I try to really hard to be like conscientious of other people, especially in social conversations and social stuff. And I try not to like, I try to not to make things about me that aren't about me, but I find that when it comes to like social interaction, just the way that I talk about things, I'm so used to like when somebody asks a question on stream, or if even somebody brings up a topic on stream, I will kind of over explain it in a way that like can introduce like a general audience to what we're talking about. Like if somebody mentions, you know, if somebody mentions oh, what's a good one? You know, somebody mentions, you know, Lancer's Sci-Fi. It's a sci-fi tabletop RPG game, right? I will start talking about Starfinder, and I'll start explaining Starfinder to you guys as though you don't know what Starfinder is, because I assume some of you may know what Starfinder is, but most of you don't, right? And so what I find is happening is that now, as I'm becoming, you know, more self-aware just in general, and I've also been not streaming full time for a while, I'm finding that now in certain social situations, I'll find myself just mansplaining, just off the cuff. And I'll just be like, why the fuck am I explaining this to you? You know what we're talking about. And the person's like, I don't know. I wasn't going to stop you. I didn't want to be rude, but like, I didn't know where you were going with that. And I was just like, well, I apologize. Like, and then I realized the other day, I was like, fuck, it's fucking streamer brain. Fucking being a streamer gets you used to being the center of attention too much. I think, you know, I don't think of myself as necessarily narcissistic or like, at least I don't want to think of myself that way. But, you know, actually like, having social interactions with people, makes me, and separating people I'm in the room with from fucking chat. I became next level aware of that the other day. And I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm fucking cooked. God damn it. I'm also thinking about Twilight. God, that message is so long that the box is too tiny to fucking hold it. I'm also thinking about Twilight and 50 Shades, where the book was so clearly written as a metaphorical fantasy about being desired, albeit not a very well written one, and a whole bunch of people panicked over the unhealthy relationship dynamics. Speaking to my IRL group of friends, chat, is this real? True. When I was a substitute teacher there for a little bit, I definitely caught myself almost calling the class chat a few times. And I was like, God, if I let that slip, I will literally die. Head Croc, is this true? Shay's not even on Twitter. Hardly. And he knows the meme. Even he knows the fucking meme that is Grok. Yeah, fucking what sends me about Twilight and 50 Shades, which I can only speak to because I have to obligatory, my girlfriend made me watch them. Goddamn, both of them, I feel like the first ones are like, okay, whatever, and then you get into the sequels and then you're like, okay, this is wild. Like, what the fuck were they thinking here? There's pro-life undertones in the Twilight sequels. There's goddamn, the third 50 Shades book just goes completely off the rails. Like, what is the announcement? Basically everything you see on screen. We got a stream schedule. We got a regular stream schedule for the first time in years. I'm almost there, Haya. I've deleted Twitter off my phone. I basically never get on it on my desktop. Can it cure my insomnia? That depends on whether or not you're willing to watch VODs / your time zone. And if you've got insomnia now, I did just release an extended edition of me talking about fucking analyzing the zones from Sonic the Hedgehog for a fucking long time. It's like 3.5 hours long. Like I said, they're not good. I tell you what, I liked the second 50 Shades of Grey, whatever, 50 Shades Dark or whatever. That was better than the first one. That was the only one that I was like, you know what, this is almost okay. Like this is almost of passable quality. The first one was like the first one was a meme, and the third one was just fucking batshit. The Twilights though, again, I think the second one maybe might have been the one where I was like, okay, this might be passable. This might be like almost okay. But then the third and fourth one just go completely fucking whack. Exactly. I haven't really watched. You're not really missing much. Not really missing much. Would not necessarily recommend. Now I will say I used to shit on what is his name? The dude from Twilight. Goddamn. Not James Patterson. That's an author. You guys know who I'm talking about. But I used to shit on Kristen Stewart. Robert Pattinson. That's him. I used to shit on Robert Pattinson. I used to shit on Dakota Johnson for being involved in those projects. I've since found out they're all incredible actors, actually. Kristen Stewart, she's good. She's better than Twilight would suggest. But like Robert Pattinson, phenomenal actor. I am now a Pattinsonian, I guess, whatever you call them. I don't know. Pattinson fan? I don't know. And Dakota Johnson is actually, despite what goddamn Madam Web would have you believe, I actually have incredible respect for Dakota Johnson. Have you ever read the 50 Shades books? Absolutely not. I don't even read good books, bro. I hardly can read good books. I'm like, I own now, like, I've bought like I have like 6 or 7 books now, which is incredible. Which is incredible to think about. And I'm like a quarter of the way through 2 of them. My goal is to be my goal is to be reading every night, and I've yet to achieve that. I am getting to the point where I'm exercising almost every morning, which is fucking insane for me. But I'm basically exercising every morning now. Now the next step is going to be reading every night. That's kind of my next thing. Second one being all right compared to the first and third is also true of Spy Kids. I feel like it's true of a number of things. Well, maybe I guess not. I can't think of any off the top of my head. It's rare that the second one is the only good one, right? The Star Wars sequels, hot take. I saw a video essay the other day defending the creative choices of The Last Jedi. And I won't spend 3 hours talking about Star Wars for you guys that are like, oh fuck, he's getting on his Star Wars soapbox again. But I saw a video essay the other day defending The Last Jedi, and they brought up a lot of good points. The video essay alone, in fact, if it had been an audio only essay, I probably would have, it probably would have turned me. I probably would have been like, you know what? I'm convinced it was a good movie. However, because it was a video essay, they had clips of the movie running next to it or running alongside it. And I would see the clips and I would remember the context and I'd be like, fuck. So I've since flipped my opinion on, Last Jedi, where, I think that, it is now in the same category as Phantom Menace for me, where it is a creatively interesting movie that's held back by a lot of bad moments, versus like Attack of the Clones, where I'm like, this is a bad movie that has some good moments, right? Which is also, I would say there's like, The Rise of Skywalker is a terrible movie with like one good moment. But the The more time goes on, the more positive, in my opinion, The Last Jedi gets. Yeah, I'm kind of there. I'm still. I would have. The thing about The Last Jedi is, looking back at it, I would have kept. Assuming that I can't change anything about The Force Awakens, which has plenty of issues on its own. Because, of course, it is an empty discourse with nothing to say. Mouthed rather than spoken, and The Last Jedi manages not to do that. Yeah, if I live in a universe where I have to keep The Force Awakens the same, I think I would have kept the general, like, overarching story of The Last Jedi the same. I think I would have kept Luke being kind of disillusioned. I would have kept the themes of failure being the best teacher. I would have kept Kylo Ren killing what's his face, the killing Snoke, and becoming the main bad guy. After that, I would have kept all of those things the same. I just would have changed the execution in so many different ways. I when I think about those like big beats, I'm like, oh, yeah, actually, it was kind of a good movie. And then I think about like the way Rose was handled, the way that Holdo was handled. Again, the video essay made me almost appreciate Holdo's character and everything going on with homeboy, what's his name? Not Finn, but the other one, the other dude, Poe. The stuff going on with Poe and Holdo, it almost turned me on that, but the way the execution on that was just it almost turned me on that, but I would have changed how that was handled. And I would have changed how Luke got disillusioned. I would not have him try to kill Ben in his sleep. Would not have done that. Would not have had him get his ass kicked by Rey 5 minutes after she starts her training. Just Rey hits maximum Mary Sue levels in that movie. Despite, I would have kept the thing about her parents being nobody important. I still cannot stand that they retcon that with Rise of Skywalker. I wish I could wipe the Rise of Skywalker out of my brain. I wish I could just make up a fan fiction. It's one of those rare instances where I'm like, wow, I wish the movies were canceled after 8. Like, if they stopped like after Rogue One and after Episode 8, if they just stopped making Star Wars movies, I would have been okay. I decided I would rather live in that universe. Solo and Rise of Skywalker, man. I would be okay living in a universe where they stopped making Star Wars movies after that. But anyway. Anyway, that's my Star Wars soapbox. I said I wasn't gonna get on the soapbox, so we'll wrap it up here with highest comment. Yeah, basically, yeah, it's J.J. Abrams is shallow. Rian Johnson does something interesting, but overall incomplete, and overall, just kind of without concern for, with as little concern for established Star Wars lore and canon as, and tone and like goals as J.J. Abrams. And then J.J. Abrams says, no, the audience didn't like all that. So we're gonna literally undo it all. We're gonna Control Z that shit, and go back to what I was talking about. It's like watching two totally different kinds of improvisers, and neither of them learned what yes and means. Or really, Rian Johnson is yes and something completely off topic from what J.J. Abrams was doing. And then J.J. Abrams says no. And back to my thing. Absolutely maddening. I wish they would have just gone with a third, completely different director for Rise of Skywalker. And didn't bring back Palpatine. I agree, just not in the way that I think Luke would have. Like, I agree with Mark Hamill's sentiment. Mark Hamill really didn't like the direction they went. But it's not creatively bankrupt like episode 7 and 9 are. I will give it that. I can respect what it was going for. I don't know that I can necessarily respect what it is, but I can at least respect what it was going for. I agree. I was excited to see what The Last Jedi did was I was excited to see a movie where Kylo Ren was the main bad guy, like was the main antagonist. The fact that the idea that Ben Solo's arc was that he was irredeemable was actually fresh and new, and actually a fucking brilliant way to really kind of introduce something fresh after fucking The Force Awakens was just New Hope again. I was really looking forward to that. And then Rise of Skywalker was like, as soon as the first trailer dropped and Palpatine was teased for Rise of Skywalker, I immediately got like a pit in my stomach. Like this might actually be the first Star Wars movie I don't enjoy. And I was right. I shit on Solo earlier. Solo was fine. It wasn't offensive. It just wasn't as good as Rogue One. And I don't like that what I didn't like about Solo is that it's set up for so many things. I may as well move to the goddamn talk screen. What I didn't like about Solo is it's set up for so many things and was like so like cocky. What I liked about Rogue One is that it didn't set up for anything. You know, the Andor show was an accident. They made Andor just because the characters and Rogue One was so popular. Whereas like Solo felt like it was like trying to set up for TV shows and trying to set up for a sequel, and it was just way too presumptuous for what it was. Yo, true, Daya, true. Listen, Will, I'm trying really hard. I'm trying. Oh my God. You know what's crazy? I still haven't watched Andor. I still haven't watched it. I finally watched Rogue One with my girlfriend the other night. I was kind of hoping to see if she would be interested in watching Andor with me after that, and she was like, "Nah, I don't think I'd watch it." I was like, "Damn it." She did like Rogue One though. But now that I know that she won't watch won't watch it with me, I'll watch Andor pretty soon. Damn, even Shane says Andor is his favorite. I was a big fan of The Mandalorian. I even didn't mind what they did with Mandalorian Season 3. A lot of people did not like Mandalorian Season 3. And I see why, but I thought it was okay. I wish they just hadn't called it Mandalorian Season 3. It should have just been its own thing. I just felt like they didn't know how to brand it other than Mandalorian Season 3. But it felt like, with Book of Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett was essentially Mandalorian Season 3 in a way. It really continued on the story of Mando Season 2. And then Mando Season 3 actually built on Book of Boba Fett. So it was like, we could have just had kind of a new show, or we could have just kind of like, but they kind of just wanted to go in a different direction where they're like, okay, now we're kind of just, it's almost like a passing of the torch thing where now we're the Mandalorian doesn't necessarily refer to just the one dude anymore. And it's like, okay, well now it's just a different show then. I greatly disliked Boba. Here's the thing. I'm too much of a fanboy. I enjoyed Boba. I enjoyed it. It could have been way better. It could have been way better. It was the kind of inoffensive. It was kind of like Solo, where it's like I don't necessarily feel just like, I don't feel so strongly about this to engage with it critically, and so I'm just gonna like appreciate it for what it is, I guess. You can make an argument for that. I could see that. I also wish they had. When I think about it, when I start to think about the Book of Boba Fett, it starts to make me mad that there are so many missed opportunities. But with what it was still, there were still cool moments. There was still plenty of Boba being a badass. I liked what they did with him being incorporated with the Tusken Raiders. I liked how they brought in the bounty hunter from Clone Wars that I never watched. I still haven't watched. That bounty hunter dude, they brought him into live action to be kind of an antagonist. That was pretty cool. But as far as they just kind of got lost in the sauce a little bit, and didn't really just take advantage of Boba Fett. Really, they could have done a lot more with him, if they were going to do a whole show centered around him. Here's the thing. I like it. I liked the fan service. The problem was they included some things from they included the Force healing randomly in like the second to last episode because it was like the week before Rise of Skywalker came out, and there was the Force healing like story arc in that was really distasteful. That was really kind of shitty. Did not like that. That was poopy butt cheeks. Luke getting his own Rogue One hallway scene type thing. Now that I look back on it, I can see that it was a direct refutation of the Luke from The Last Jedi. But I think that those, if you remove the meta politics of it, where it was fan service for the sake of fan service, it was meant to be a refutation of from the backlash of The Last Jedi. When you remove it from that context, I actually think they stand independently of each other. I think that they actually build off of each other fine. I think that building Luke up in his earlier in his younger iteration can coexist with a Luke that is disillusioned in his old age. But yeah, it was fan service. I'll be real. But I felt like Boba was done fantastic in The Mandalorian. In The Mandalorian season 2, that I felt like Boba and Luke were done really well, and that's part of why I was okay with it. But then, I still haven't seen episode 9 because they clearly had no plan. I wish I could unsee episode 9, homeboy. Wish I could unsee episode 9. So don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. Hashtag we need more Django. Agreed. Y'all remember that that Star Wars Bounty Hunter game as when we were youngins? It was the tits. Yeah. There are some. I can see. That is a fair criticism. Is the Content Clinic active? Is there an easy way to browse that stuff? I don't know that I would consider the Content Clinic active. I don't even know. Fucking show of hands. Who even know what the Content Clinic is in this chat? The Content Clinic was yes, the announcement was Plywood. This basically. I'm going to a stream schedule, a scheduled streams for the first time in years. Instead of just these random, just whenever I feel like it type of things. I'm gonna actually fucking schedule these things in, so that I stick to it. The Content Clinic was a back when you had Twitch had like teams, right? Or still does, I guess. You can join a little team, and it groups you in, and you'll see member of whatever, member of the Content Clinic up in there. Content Clinic was put together by my buddy Sam Woodhall as kind of his own stream team, for us to all be kind of creators that were all kind of based around not necessarily productivity, but creative development. You would say, people who are editors and people who are content creators, people who are YouTubers, and worked with like the production side, people, musicians, people who kind of gave, might give stream advice or might give editing advice or might do music production or stuff like that. He put it together as kind of that stream team, and I was invited to become a member because he's a great friend, and a great leader in that space. Problem is that the Twitch teams is an incredibly undercooked feature, and there wasn't really any sort of like synergy with actually having the team and like using the team for anything, like as far as like as a team. We all kind of have, we're all still kind of, everybody who's part of the content clinic are still kind of relatively in contact with each other. People from the content clinic, you'll see them in chat from time to time. I still talk with Sam. I still talk with RFI and Camera Tim and a bunch of people from that kind of community. But as far as us being an active team, like I would consider us like the Avengers, where we're all kind of still around, most of us at least. But we're mostly just kind of doing our own thing rather than actually like assembling, if you could call it that. We're more like the Avengers in that way than we are like the Fantastic Four, or the X-Men, where it's like we're mostly seen together. It's more like we're mostly in our own things, and sometimes we get together and work on stuff kind of more in groups or in pairs or in things like that. I'm kind of off on my own, doing my own thing right now, a lot. I haven't really done much collaboration type stuff in a while. And so I don't know. So I don't know. I don't know what how to answer your question, I guess. I would say, members of the content clinic are active. I'm active, but I don't know that I would call the content clinic active. I haven't even thought about it in a long time. So I might slow down the rate of this notification. It's a little bit annoying. It's a little bit too eager. No plans to assemble. Yeah, no plans to assemble anytime soon, so to speak. We still got our group chats. We got some Discord stuff going on. Sam has made, over the years, has made multiple Discords with different groups of creators to do to kind of talk with people. I need a doctor and looking for a clinic to provide that help. Hey man, this channel is kind of for all things creative. So I'm not necessarily a stream doctor, but I'm more of like an osteopathic physician. I'm more of a holistic practitioner, if you will. Actually, that's a great way to describe me in reality. I do music, I do stream, I do video, I do just about everything. In fact, I kind of go out of my way to do my own stream overlays, my own graphics, my own designs, my own branding, all myself, so that I can kind of be that holistic kind of creative force. So I'm not saying I'm your one-stop shop, but like I could at least refer you. I might be able to refer you to a specialist, but in the meantime, what are you here for? What seems to be what's ailing you, I guess. This metaphor actually works really fucking well. I even wanted to maybe start like a blogger type thing where I would do content curation. I was thinking about that. I came up with the idea of making neatontherocks.com into something like that, where I made blog posts about like just different videos and different creators that I thought were interesting and that I thought could be a good resource for different stuff. Like earlier I mentioned Knights of Last Call being a really great channel for people who are getting into tabletop RPGs, you know, so I might have made a blog post about that. Now, monetizing that and making that a creative effort and making that something that I do, that would just require so much more time than I have right now. I've got other things that are taking priority creatively, but namely things like getting a stream schedule and stuff like that. But still something that maybe one day I'll look into. Being the world's first content curator instead of creator, was kind of a cool little idea I had stirring around there for a little while. Yeah, I wonder how that's gonna work. That might actually be even more incentive to be kind of in the curation kind of side of things for me, is to become, you know, use my platform as a way to become a trusted voice in you know, what's kind of, as people start having to spend active energy sorting the wheat from the chaff, being a resource for that suddenly becomes valuable. So maybe something I'll consider more. Maybe I want to establish the infrastructure for that before AI slop becomes even more of a thing than it already is. So something to think about, I guess. I have, Royal Bunny. I have indeed come to make an announcement. I think I just need someone to take a look and make sure I can confidently share my work and not feeling like I'll disappoint. For reference, I'm working to make things for other content creators. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so so are you looking for like affirmation, or like in terms of like what you're making? So what is it that you're making? When you say you're making things for other content creators, are you doing like stream overlays? Are you doing like video editing? Or like what is it that you're doing? Yeah, that's where I was going, plywood, but we'll get there. I want to see what he's up to first. Because yeah, it's going to be a thing where the way you're going to build confidence is to get it from the people you're going to be serving rather than from a third party. That's going to be the only way. But I'm interested to see exactly what it is that you say you're making, because that can be how you approach it can be kind of tailored to that for sure. Because if you're doing video editing, the way you can become, I'll just kind of go off the cuff, in case you've in case it applies. If you're, for example, if you're like, oh, I will edit people's videos for them, I'll edit people's streams, so that they can turn their streams into video content. The way you become confident with that is making your own channel, and doing video editing for yourself and proving to yourself that you can do it, because that also helps you build a portfolio. The other thing you can do, if you're doing things like Twitch overlays, things like that, is you can do things like you can create a Twitch overlay pack and sell it, and if people buy it, that's a good indicator that people like the work that you do. I've done stream overlays, done video editing, and have done channel redesigns, but I'm currently working on thumbnails. Thing is that I'm working solo, so I don't really have anyone in the same sphere to bounce ideas off of. So what you can do is you can join the Discord. I believe there's ! Discord, or it can be kind of in the if you kind of go into now, if I zoom in on the that's interesting. Actually changes the overlay itself on OBS. That's fascinating. We'll do maybe this. How's that zoom? What zoom do we like, chat? Do we like this? That'll work. But what you can do is you can join the Discord. There we have a channel called I Made This, where you can like ask for kind of feedback on stuff like that. I used to do like paid feedback. Now I'm not so, like, I don't know. It just felt icky, and nobody ever took me up on it anyway. So I don't do it anymore. But you know, if you drop it in I Made This, there's you know, we've got a space of YouTubers and creators and just creative minded people that can give you feedback on things like thumbnails. But the great way to build confidence on thumbnails is, one, to make a shit ton of them, and two, to start making them and get the social proof of, you know, with your own videos or with working with clients, of putting out your videos and seeing success with the click-through rate and seeing success with the thumbnails. For me, a big thing is that I've recently decided that I no longer think of thumbnails as something just to be clickable. I think of thumbnails as an extension of the video. I think of thumbnails as creatively a part of the video, just as you might think of, you know, if you think of like, you know, Empire Strikes Back. Star Wars Empire Strikes Back has a fucking phenomenal poster, which I'm not even thinking of the original poster, but like, but even the original poster as well. Where's the one I really like? I think it's on, it might be on the special edition, funny enough. And I'm not finding it. It's this one. It's the trilogy poster. That's why. So when I think of Star Wars, when I think of Empire Strikes Back, I think of this poster, right? Can I even just open image, a new tab? How about that? When I think of Empire Strikes Back, I think of this poster, right? It is a part of the identity of the film to me. And now I've started thinking about thumbnails in the same way. A thumbnail is just as much part of the video as the video itself. And yes, it is ultimately a product made to get people to click on it, but that is secondary to, for me, to the artistic expression that I want to put into the thumbnail, and have it be cohesive with the creative idea I had for the video. So that's a mindset that would help you become more confident. I think it has definitely made me significantly better and more confident in my thumbnails. Is thinking about them in terms of how I want to creatively express myself with the video. So, as far as bouncing ideas off of people, you could use the Discord. But as far as building the confidence, you'll build the confidence by doing the thing. You know, the confidence will not come before doing it. The confidence will come after, for sure. There is no amount of in my mind, some people may disagree, but in my mind, there's no amount that somebody who's not a client could hype me up. You know, I could show my projects to my family and friends all I want, or I could show my portfolio to my family and friends all I want, but no amount of compliments from them will make me confident to showing to showing my portfolio to clients, more than nothing will build my confidence more than showing it to my clients, and even getting rejected, and getting iteration, getting feedback, and iterating on it will build your confidence far more than getting feedback on it will. Yeah, I would say you won't feel ready until you've already done it. You can be ready, but you won't feel. But even when you are ready, being ready and feeling ready are two totally different things. I have been ready to have a consistent stream schedule since for like 6 years. I know it because I had a consistent stream schedule for 2 years, but then for like 4 years, I felt like I couldn't have I felt like I shouldn't have a consistent stream schedule, or I couldn't have a consistent stream schedule. And recently, like, the mindset has changed where it's like, oh fuck, well, duh, of course I can. Like, of course I can have a consistent stream schedule. I just don't. So why not? Why not just have it? And so now I do. Today is the very first day of my new stream schedule. So, but yes, I did. Shane, you mentioned something about just being the healer, which I don't know what context you posted that in though. You said, oh, where was it? I hope you realize I'm the group's only healer. Yeah. I don't know what context that was posted in. As far as what goes on. It already feels so fucking great. It already feels so fucking great to be back to streams. I feel this way every time I stream. I'm like, goddamn. I miss streaming. What am I doing with my life? I could be streaming. And I go back, and then I'm like, oh, but. No more. Schedule. Consistent schedule. But I am excited for D&D Day. I want to make a video before next week that's on D&D, but I just don't know if I'll have time. I want to make a video kind of covering the problem is I don't know who to make it for, you know? I don't know if I should make it for my current audience or if I should make it for like a wider audience. So I'm making it for a wider audience. I feel like I'm just kind of saying things that people have already said. But if I make it for you guys, I don't really know how to introduce you guys. And I say you guys as in my established audience that's not necessarily into D&D or TTRPGs yet. I don't know necessarily how I want to go about introducing you guys to the topic. So maybe I should ask you. hey, Neat Chat. If you're somebody who has a tangential kind of interest in tabletop RPGs, but don't really know where to start, how would you like me to introduce it to you? I guess I should just like call David and just like ask him how I should do it. Because that's really what's been keeping me from making this D&D video. Is I'm like, do I just sum up all the drama and assume that nobody's heard any of it, and then be like, hey, play Pathfinder? Because that's basically the gist. I'll even show you guys the thumbnail. I'll show you guys what the thumbnail is. Uh, Here's the thumbnail I've got going. I'll just kind of zoom in so you guys can see. I'll keep it that size too because it's a thumbnail. You guys don't need to see it zoomed in. How to find a group that doesn't bail on you for the 246th time. That I can't solve that. That's like asking me to solve capitalism. Like, it's like I can make a video about socialism, right? But I cannot tell you what the solution to capitalism is, like on an individual level. That's the problem. That's the problem. Except, okay, actually, the idea is that I want to. The concept is I want to encourage people to run their own games, but the problem is that that doesn't really stop, you know, your players from your friends from bailing on you. Really, what I find, the way that I have kept my groups playing and kept my groups consistent over the years, even when it's been really hard to find, like with my current group, Shane will tell you, it's really hard for us to find, you know, we'll go weeks at a time without playing. Being the dungeon master, being the person kind of in charge of the game, being really persistent about, okay, guys, when are we getting together? And not giving up on that is really the key. The problem is that sometimes you'll go, you know, if you have a game night where, you know, let's say you meet on a Thursday and you're like, okay, guys, we're going to meet next Thursday, for our next game. And then next Thursday comes around and like 2 people cancel. And so you put it off. And then you're like, okay, well, we'll find another day where we'll meet. And then you just never put in the effort to find that day. That's how game groups end. Trying to if you don't have that person that's committed to getting to like really pulling the effort of getting the group to meet is what you got to do. In college it was easy because it was like, you know, we all have our our class schedule for the semester or whatever. We all have the night that we all want to play D&D. We all live like a 5 minutes walk from each other. If somebody doesn't show up, I can walk over to his place and be like, hey, where the fuck are you? Like, it was easy. In real life, in when you get to your day jobs and you get to where everybody lives separate and you're doing it online and everybody's got stuff coming up, you really just have to be like, all right, motherfuckers. I just threw my pen. All right, motherfuckers. When are we meeting next? When can we do it? How can we make it happen? I'd love a video in the style of Connor Conquers that is a love letter to the game and shows the new player experience before diving in. Okay, it is a love letter to the game and shows the new player experience before diving into the experience that you can have later in the game. That's interesting. That is even maybe that is maybe outside the scope of the initial video. I also don't know if I'm the person to show that because number one, I'm not really interested in filming my group. I'm sure Shane would be fine if we like recorded our groups, but I'm not really interested. We tried at some point. I had Rollaneat 20 was the channel name. I had a D&D channel. When I was posting our actual plays, our live plays, when we were meeting in person, and I set up and I got consent from my friends and I set up a camera in the corner of the room, and I put a microphone on the table and we recorded our sessions and it was still pretty low quality. But I'm not really interested in doing that anymore, even though now that we're playing digitally, it would be much easier to film and edit. I'm just not really as interested in doing that anymore. Even though my friends would probably consent to that. All of them have actually been on this stream before. You guys know who Isaiah is. You guys know who Ish is. You guys know who Shane is. You guys know who Jade is. All of them have been on the stream individually before. I don't know that I'm interested in filming and editing our experience. I think it's I think I've come to value D&D as something that or our tabletop games as something that is not recorded, like it's something nebulous that only exists in the moment. Emotes don't show up in your chat feed. Can you still see my kappas? They should. This is like, this one showed up. I dare y'all to run a dungeon without your singular healer. Yeah, we will not be doing that. I definitely have done that before. You guys want to see a fucking time capsule? You guys want to see one of my first ever live talking head YouTube videos? Actually, you guys want to see my first talking head YouTube video? It is, I think, my first. Okay, so if I look it up using the @ on YouTube, I used to have 7 years ago. 7 years ago, it was my first talking head YouTube video. Oh God, this looks terrible. God damn. 720p, everybody. I'm muting it because goddamn. It's called Dungeon Master Horror Stories. The first 8 seconds is me not realizing I'm recording. Jesus Christ. Look at how short my hair was. I just went 25 minutes on a rant. I pulled up a copy of the monster manual. Talk about a particular creature design. This is my first talking head YouTube video, everybody. This is my college apartment. This is my kind of office in my college apartment. My limited edition Ruby poster in the background. It was the Ruby Villains poster. My pop figurines of Mr. White and Jesse Pinkman that my dad gave me. And a guitar? I shouldn't have already owned a guitar at this point. Is that what that is? I can't see over my shoulder, so I can't tell, but just how short your hair was, but how much hair. Broski, don't even at me like that. I basically don't have hair in this section of my head anymore, or this section for that matter. Compared to the hair I have now, like my hairline as it is today, like God, like this section especially, it's like I basically have no hair. And how little facial hair. I couldn't grow. This was like me not shaving for like 3 weeks. Is what it looked like. And those thin ass glasses. Oh shit. I still have the same goddamn posture though. Back when I used to wear a watch. But anyways, yeah, that was it was Dungeon Master Horror Stories is what I called it. It was kind of Puff in the Forest type thing, where I would just kind of talk about crazy shit that happened in my D&D games. Usually at my own expense, but also to my friends who would DM and make questionable choices. And that was recorded with my fucking 720p webcam. That was like $20 back then. now I'm with like a $1,000 goddamn DSLR camera with its own like $100 capture card. Crazy shit. Back when I had expendable income to spend on stream equipment. Luckily, I had the foresight to buy basically everything I needed. Yeah, in fact, they do. And no shame, no shame. I watch the shit out of when they're at least like how XP to level 3 does it. XP to level 3 will at least, will commentate over it. We'll add his own kind of spin to the storytelling. We'll bring a guest on to like kind of narrate it with him, talk about it with him. They'll add their own jokes. It's low effort content, but I respect the hustle and I respect what they do with it. But there are just channels. What I can't stand are the channels that will just take something off of Reddit. We'll have an AI voice read it, and then we'll just throw 3 or 4 of those into a video, and then we'll be like, what do you think? Comment down below, like and subscribe, and it gets like 100,000 views. It's like, God, if I had no ethics, guys, if I had no morals or no ethics, I would be a millionaire by now. I would absolutely just be a fucking content farmer. It would be so easy. If I could just turn off my moral compass and not give a shit about the slop I serve you guys, God, I could make so much money. God, I could make so much money. I could do it better. I could do it better than 99% of channels. I could. I know that I could. It would be so goddamn easy. And it would take so little of my time. But I'm not. Unfortunately for me, literally unfortunately, I'm not creatively bankrupt and morally bankrupt. So I don't do that. Yeah, for sure. For sure. There are so many scams that seem so easy, bro. This morning, I was putting in a grocery order, right? And I find I'm looking for protein shakes because I've been enjoying having protein shake in the morning after my workout. And I found a listing. It was like Walmart rollback. Motherfucking this goddamn protein shake is now, it went from $3 a shake to 50 cents. I was like, how the fuck is nobody jumping on this? So I added it to my cart and I'm like, there's a catch. There has to be a catch. So I look and it's like, it's through a third-party seller, right? And I look at the reviews for this third-party seller, fucking 1-star reviews. They list those protein shakes in particular, and it's like, don't order from this. It's a scam seller. I ordered protein shakes. I got a fucking like flavored goddamn soda. I got like a LaCroix. I'm like, Walmart just lists this and just lets this happen. Just lets people just scam. Like, it would be so easy. It would be so easy. And in fact, it is so easy. And that's why people do it. That's why people make money off of scams like that. It's why those scams exist. When the game has an infinite money glitch, there are going to be players who do the infinite money glitch, even if it breaks the game. I've been saying that for over a year now. It's total bullshit. Total bullshit. It makes me want to set it all on fire. Burn it to the ground. Ugh. But anyway. Oh, the joys of aging indeed. But yeah. So back on the D&D video, I guess. I want to essentially, the concept is I want to bring people in. It's like, hey, if you're into RPGs, if you've watched Critical Role, if you've watched Stranger Things, if you've played Baldur's Gate 3 and you want to get into doing RPGs, I think you should do it. Like, that's the concept. Now the execution is like, okay, the way to do that is you can't like look for a game to run or just fucking like try to join a group, because it's just not going to be, it's not going to give you the experience you want. The only way to do it is to curate the experience you want, and that's to run a game yourself. And that's to throw any sort of preconception of what like it's supposed to look like in your head out of the window, and then just do it. and just get some of your friends together, be like, hey, are you guys interested in D&D? And they'll say yeah, and they'll have about as much of a concept of it as you will, if you're not somebody who if you're not if they haven't played games themselves already. And if they have, ask them for help. Ask them for their input, ask them what they can do with what, if they'll run a game, you're interested in playing, will you run a game for me, and or us. And then if you want to do something related, then jump off from there. Let's play a Star Wars campaign next. Unironically, I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Every time I watch Star Wars, so like when I watched Rogue One the other day, I was like, man, it would be so easy to set a game in the Star Wars universe, and to run an RPG. It would be so fun to run an RPG in Star Wars. Now there are Star Wars RPG systems, but I would almost want to maybe use Starfinder for it. I feel like Starfinder's built for it, to be for you to be able to run Star Wars type stuff. There's already, I was looking with Ish the other day. There's already stuff there's already stuff like lightsabers, essentially, just by another name in the in Starfinder. There's already all the other different weapons you can reskin. Thanks for the subscription, Reggie. I appreciate it. Though, just as a reminder for everybody, best way to support the content is through a membership on neonrocks.com. But you can always subscribe on Twitch. Do the usual ways of supporting are great too. Just with the membership on neonrocks.com, you guys you'll get more benefit out of it, so to speak. But anyways, the back to tanks. yeah, like health potions. Back to tanks. I also anytime I'm playing Battlefield, anytime I'm playing Battlefield lately, I've been thinking about Battlefront. And anytime I think about Battlefront, I think about running a Star Wars RPG, and setting things in kind of that type of really not even, Star Wars. It's so easy because the lore we all are kind of familiar enough with, in a similar way to D&D, where it's kind of the cultural zeitgeist of like, I don't have to explain to you what a hut is. When I say the huts are doing something, everybody kind of at the table kind of knows what that means, more so than just any random, sci-fi type setting. And so, but then from there, just the kind of games I want to run, where with like big battles and stuff, just the Star Wars universe just lends itself so well to that. With fucking, I thought about like, it'd be so fucking great to be like doing a dungeon, in a Star Wars RPG, and then like you get into a fight, and then suddenly a TIE fighter rolls up, and it's like, oh shit, that's a fucking TIE fighter. And having like a TIE fighter be a boss battle is like, stuff like that is like stuff you can't really do in D&D, because there's not really like those kind of like vehicles and stuff like that. And those like big kind of it's not a story Sonic 3 and Knuckles would tell you. It's not really something you could do in D&D in the same way. Now, a TIE fighter might, instead of a TIE fighter, you could do a dragon, but it's not quite the same thing. It's not quite the same thing. You also can't, flying a dragon in D&D is not the same as flying a TIE fighter, right? Which, flying on a dragon is still cool, don't get me wrong, but flying in an X-wing is something, is entirely different kind of fantasy, right? So yeah, I've wanted to do maybe a Star Trek RPG, but with me kind of wanting to develop my own RPG system and kind of develop Pathfinder kind of into that, I don't know if I want to necessarily run a Star Wars RPG while I'm doing that. Of course, with how long our game is going to take, with the rate that we're going. So to put in perspective, Shane, we're in Dungeon 1 in our game right now, right? We're in the first dungeon. I have already planned Dungeon 2 entirely. Dungeon 3 needs a layout, but conceptually it's basically finished. Dungeon 4 basically already has a layout, but it actually conceptually needs a few things worked out still. And then Dungeon 5 is actually going to be a mega dungeon that's going to be like 3 or 4 dungeons in one. So I basically have like the next like 9 dungeons, like a Zelda like length game planned out for our or like roughly planned out for our D&D for our Pathfinder, game. And so that's so I've got a lot of content to go through before our next game kind of becomes a thing, right? Ooh, that's pretty sick. I just recently played Baldur's Gate 2, 1 and 2 for the first time myself. And Athkatla is a pretty interesting setting for it. Hilarious to me that Baldur's Gate 2 is called Baldur's Gate and has literally nothing to do with Baldur's Gate. It's the same characters from Baldur's Gate 1, but it's literally not the setting of. They named the game after the setting and then they didn't set it in Baldur's Gate, which is so weird to me. Not even Throne of Ball brought it back to Baldur's Gate. Well, you have had plenty of time between games, and broski, I've been this framework, like this, the dungeon you're in now has been iterated on, and like that mega dungeon has been the concept for my campaign since I ended my last college game, which was like 6 years ago. I've been wanting to have this kind of I basically have run this game for now. I think this is like the 4th group that I've started this campaign for and just retconned the previous 3. Because I always build my D&D campaigns off of like the same world as my previous ones. So I had the first one that Isaiah was in college, and I had the second one Ish was in, but Isaiah wasn't. And now this third one, I had a group in college I was going to run it for, then we ended up not doing it. And then I was going to run it. I kind of had the idea going, and I was going to run it for some of my friends here from the stream community. But it was kind of like just kind of a loose concept then. And I wasn't really, we didn't see it becoming a long-term campaign. I just kind of like started them on it just to see if it would work. Just to like run an adventure for them. And then the, third time was with the group. I'm actually running the same, kind of adventures, sort of kind of the same concepts as when I was running for Ish and Isaiah and them back a couple years ago. But that group, that they fell through. We were running D&D 5e then, and I wasn't really liking how it was going. There were some really cool things that I liked about it, and I've kept those things, but a lot of it just wasn't really coming through. Even Ish was like, I don't think I'm getting the same sort of satisfaction as I was out of your last campaign. I must say, I'm a little disappointed. I was like, damn, I got to find out where the spark is. And the spark was that I wasn't preparing as much. I was kind of going for more of a off the cuff type of like low prep type of game. And I found out that my secret sauce as a dungeon master, if you will, the thing that I think people appreciated from my games in college was that I was prepped and that I had well thought out, believable stuff go on. Whereas like I feel like I have strong improv skills, but the stuff that I improvise doesn't quite have the same sort of it doesn't have the same sort of impact. I think that players at the table can tell when something is improvised versus when something is planned. And for some people prefer when things are improvised, and some people prefer when they're planned. And I think that Ish and Isaiah and kind of my style it benefits from a more planned out, curated kind of experience. So anyway, so not only have I had plenty of time between games, like Shane was saying, but I've also been been developing this campaign idea over the course of like 6 years. um, now Dungeon 2 will be fresh to this campaign. It'll be never before seen. It'll be new to Ish and Isaiah completely. I even think this dungeon is pretty much entirely new to Ish and Isaiah. I think I even kind of it was in my initial planning for it was in my initial planning like 6 years ago, but it wasn't. I think I just retconned it when I ran it for Ish and Isaiah like 6 months ago or a few years ago. And so I don't even think it was part of the kind of content that they're familiar with. There is one dungeon in particular. I think Dungeon 4 is going to be the kind of thing where Ish and Isaiah are going to be like, oh, I remember this. Oh, I remember this. But they'll be playing with new characters, and I'll have definitely changed it enough that they won't fucking they will not have a leg up in any sense of the word. In fact, I might even play with their expectations a little bit if Ish remembers as much as I think he does. I would love for you to do that, Shane. I'm literally always down for that. And I've got some cool stuff. I actually need your input on some of that, so that I can tie it into this thing that I've got going for Dungeon 2 that I think will make you happy. The first time I learned a secret from your BG1 stream, and I thought I knew them all. Yeah, dude. I had never played BG1 or 2 before just about December of this year. I played Baldur's Gate 3 last year, and I really just wanted a modern D&D experience. What turned me off of Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 is I was intimidated by AD&D rules. And then I played Baldur's Gate 3 and I fucking loved it. And I was like, I came from 3rd edition and I've gone so far as 5th edition, and now I'm looking into Pathfinder. Like, I can learn the AD&D rules. Like, and I love old school RPGs. In fact, one of my favorite CRPGs is Fallout, the original Fallout. And that system is way more different than D&D is. I was like, 2nd edition D&D will be closer to what I'm familiar with than the Fallout system is. So I don't know why I can't just give Baldur's Gate a try. And then Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 was on sale for like $1 a piece on Steam, and I was like, well, shit, I'll get into those. Why not? And then I fucking loved them. Now Baldur's Gate 3 seems like child's play compared to Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. It's like literally baby shit. It was my gateway drug. Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 is leagues beyond in some ways. Baldur's Gate 3 is a great game, don't get me wrong. But there are some things you can't do with fully motion captured, fully voice acted cutscenes, that actually is something that holds back, I think, the storytelling of Baldur's Gate 3 to a certain extent. Whereas Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, and something about the old school design. I really, there's something about old school D&D that really gets me going. And that's something that really has inspired me to create my own kind of variation of Pathfinder 2, is because Pathfinder 2, as more content is being released for Pathfinder 2, they're straying further and further away from that. They're finding that Pathfinder's core audience now is now the Pathfinder audience and not just what they've siphoned from D&D. And so they're finding that really a lot of what makes Pathfinder great is the stuff that's unique to Pathfinder. And they're doing things like releasing their own classes and stuff that have nothing to do with classes from D&D. Things like the Thaumaturge, the Summoner, Oracle, things like that are completely different from anything D&D is doing. And I just have no interest in those things. I'll be completely honest. I really want to cut down on the number of classes. I would like to kind of rope some of the classes into being subclasses of each other. I'd kind of like to go back to 3rd edition D&D where maybe sorcerer and wizard are different in very few mechanics, and maybe different mostly in name only. And maybe used interchangeably in like the world. I want to go back to kind of some different, just like different old school designs, stuff like that. I want to go back to bards being kind of jack of all trades instead of just its own kind of weird kind of music caster. I like the idea of a bard not just being somebody who does loot stuff, but actually, gets into like, because Pathfinder tried to do this, tried to have it both ways. Pathfinder is really, really interested in making all of the core mechanics of the bard be have to do with like composition cantrips and composition spells, where it's like you're composing a song out of your spells and shit. And but at the same time, they want to use, the bard spell list is pulled from the occult spell list, right? And so the idea is that like bards are pulling from like the words of creation, like dark magical secrets that have been passed down by word of mouth for generations. And like those are two different fantasies of the bard. And Pathfinder's like trying to make it both ways. And I'm much more interested in the magical secrets, and like bards as storytellers, rather than like, oh, I'm the guy who brings a toy lute to the table for our sessions. I'm not interested in that as much. As a musician, I'm not interested in that as much. Because I think bards get this reputation as like, oh, the funny lute guy and the funny music guy, the funny jokester, the jester type character, when in reality they can be so much more than that. I feel like they're held back by that kind of archetype or stereotype, really. And so I would roll back what Pathfinder 2 did to bards, and I would make them more magical secrets oriented. I would also make them jack of all trades, again, rather than have them be just another kind of wizard. Pathfinder in its search for balance has pretty much, in its pursuit of balance, has pretty much roped every class into one of three categories, and that's like full martial, half martial, and full caster. Or really full martial, full caster, half and half type of thing. Or like utility, I guess, maybe with rogue. But even rogue, I would say, is now just categorized as like full martial. They even get martial weapon proficiency. So like, it's really, with bard, they were like, okay, we're gonna go full caster with it. It's just gonna be another kind of wizard. Whereas I think I want bards to have as many, cleric has cloistered cleric, which is basically priest instead of wizard, the priest version of wizard. But they also have the what Shane's playing, which is a war priest, which is I'm the armored cleric. I'm the kind of somewhere between a paladin and a cleric, where I've still got the full spell casting, but I'm a little bit more martial oriented. I want the bard to kind of be kind of in there, where you can kind of do a little bit of fighting. You can do spell casting, and you can be a skill monkey all at the same time. Give me one sec, guys. I'm getting a phone call. I'm gonna call my girlfriend back here in a sec. Here for just a sec. All right, chat. That was just my girlfriend telling me she was almost home. Which when she gets home, I think I'll wrap it up. But till then, we'll vibe some more. So nice to hear that people enjoy my favorite games even after all this time. Yeah, man. Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 is the tits. I want an excuse. I'm taking a break from them right now. I kind of burnt myself out on them because I just fucking put my nose to the grindstone for like a month and played the absolute shit out of those games. Pretty much any time I wasn't working, I was playing. I would just sit on the couch next to my girlfriend and we'd watch some like nothing show where we didn't have to pay attention, and she'd be on TikTok and I'd be playing Baldur's Gate, and like that was like our just like coexist time for like 2 months. And so I played the absolute shit out of them. So I burned myself out on them a little bit. I started a modded playthrough almost immediately after. As you saw on stream, I've done a little bit of modded play just for fun, but there's not. I definitely burned myself out, and so I was like, I gotta give them a break, or else because I want to be able to come back to these games, play them on stream, do some cool stuff about them. The only thing disappointing about Baldur's Gate is that none of the games have really great dungeon design. I don't feel like any of them really hit the really great dungeon design that's possible with Dungeons and Dragons, and what makes Dungeons and Dragons really cool. Which is also something that I've been doing in my home game, and what I kind of want to stray from Pathfinder with, because Pathfinder's definitely now, they even call them adventure paths. Pathfinder's much more about adventuring than dungeoneering. And I love the idea of dungeoneering. I don't know if it's growing up with Zelda games, or, you know, the idea of it being called Dungeons and Dragons originally, but the idea of like having an adventure location, or a location-based adventure where it's like, here is this location where there are monsters, there's loot, there's intrigue, there's mystery, there's everything I could ever want, and it's just sitting there waiting for me to tackle it and waiting for me to discover what it has in store. That's it doesn't get any better than that for me. That's peak like game like gaming. That's peak gaming for me, I think. The Zelda games for me have always been like the dungeons and then the in-between time, getting from dungeon to dungeon. That's part of why I like Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess more than the other games. Those are obviously popular entries of the franchise, but specifically the fact that they are so dungeon oriented is part of why I like them. I think Twilight Princess has the most dungeons of any Zelda game, possibly, or is maybe tied, or at least is in the top 3. It has like 10 or 11 dungeons, in fact, in total. And that's part of why I wasn't big on Wind Waker. Yeah, exactly. Part of it is also that I didn't really love the dungeons in Wind Waker. I just wasn't getting the same thing out of them. But I also just think, I don't know, I'm like 50-50 on Zelda games. I love Zelda as a franchise. I've always considered myself a really big Zelda fan, but I'm kind of 50-50 on different Zelda games. Like I'll play Zelda 1, I'm like, I love it. Zelda 2, fucking goddamn Link to the Past, love it. Link's Awakening, it's okay. Like even the remake, I'm like, it was just all right. Ocarina of Time, love it. Majora's Mask is a great example. That's actually one, because it's less focused on the dungeoneering. It's more about the adventuring and more about the time between the dungeons. I love Majora's Mask conceptually. I could watch a 12-hour goddamn video analysis on Majora's Mask. Sitting there and actually sitting down and playing Majora's Mask, I'm like, I can't get into it. I don't know what it is. I can't do it. Twilight Princess, love it. Wind Waker, Now I do like, the thing is that I do like the beginning of Twilight Princess. Twilight Princess, a lot of people bounce off of because it's like 2 hours, maybe even more, up to like 3 or 4 hours of gameplay before you even get to the Forest Temple. And that is a legitimate criticism of that game. What I loved so much about Ocarina of Time the first time I played it was like 20 minutes and I was in the first dungeon. I was like, oh, holy shit, the first dungeon already? That's awesome. Like, but that is a fair criticism of Twilight Princess. But I think Twilight Princess still strikes a good medium of like, here's dungeon-based adventure or location-based adventure. Because it still has like, when you become the wolf, you still like go through, it's not really a dungeon because there's no boss, there's no keys, there's no puzzle elements to it, but you still like go through Hyrule Castle. You still have to go to the places where the Twilight is and like restore them from the Twilight. It's still kind of location-based adventure in a similar way. But In Between Worlds has good ones. I still have not played that game. Consider most of the dungeon OOT kind of suck. I disagree. Now, if you had said Twilight Princess, I might have to agree with you because from a dungeon making standpoint, some of the Twilight Princess dungeons don't really hit the same highs. But I don't know. I like the OT dungeons. Forest Temple, of course, great. Water Temple, underrated. Water Temple in practice, it suffers from the gameplay limitations, but like 3DS Water Temple, fantastic. I really enjoy it. Fire Temple is okay. I like it. It's not my favorite. Shadow Temple, kind of stinky, kind of dookie. But when you consider Bottom of the Well and Shadow Temple as like one experience, it's okay. It's fine. Spirit Temple's pretty dope. I like the Spirit Temple. Now, Twilight Princess, it's got some. They're not quite. They're not hitting the same. The fucking what is it? The Lakebed Temple. It's not the Water Temple. It's fine. But Forest Temple from Twilight Princess is fine as a first dungeon. If you consider it's the first dungeon in the game, it's fine. It's still a little basic. The Fire Temple in that game, what is it? The Goron Mines or whatever. They're just okay. I like a lot of the rooms in that dungeon. I like that it's got some rooms filled with water and some filled with lava. I like that it's both a mountain, kind of steamy mountain springs, and also a volcano. But it works better in concept than it does in execution. A lot of people actually like the Snow Temple in that one. I think it's just okay. It's kind of annoying. I generally like the first half of Twilight Princess more than the second half, but Temple of Time is kind of dookie. Don't really like the Temple of Time in that game. The very linear ascent with and then getting the thing. It needed variety. Twilight Princess needed variety in its dungeon design, so it's fine as a holistic experience. But as a singular temple, Temple of Time is like, what are the other ones? There's the Sky. The Sky Temple's great. It's a little difficult to navigate. I was stuck in it for a long time, especially on the Wii where the resolution's very low and I get confused. Easier. But on the Wii U version, I love the Sky Temple. What am I missing? The Temple of Twilight was whatever. Or whatever you called it. You could make an argument for this. The problem is, is now that I've kind of really I've spent the last in designing dungeons for my home game for Pathfinder, I have really realized how much damage video games have done to our cultural conception of like what a dungeon is and what it has to be. I had this idea for the longest time that like when it came to role-playing games, that role-playing and dungeons didn't mix. Like that you would role-play outside the dungeon, then you would get to the dungeon, you would adventure, and you would dungeoneer, and you would do stuff that like you would role-play in between the party, but there wasn't, you're basically fighting monsters. There wasn't many people to talk to. It wasn't really much reason to be in character. And what I've really realized is that is not the case. That does not have to be the case at all. Shane will tell you in our home game, what we've been doing is what I'll do is I'll have multiple, what really is the core of old school dungeon design is factions, and having different monsters vying for, why these monsters aren't out in the world is that they are vying for whatever is valuable about this adventure location. So Shane shows up and he finds that there's a group of gnolls, which are like kind of barbaric hyena men, and they're kind of have now are like in conflict with a clan of goblins, and they are fighting over territory within this dungeon. And they happened to come across the gnolls first, and the gnolls didn't immediately attack them, and so they talked with them instead of just assuming there was something to fight. And they found out that the gnolls are like, yeah, actually these goblins are being a real pain in our ass. We'll help you. We'll scratch your back if you scratch ours. And because I kind of in classic D&D, gnolls are like, they worship demons, and they're like children of demons, and they like are inherently evil and are unambiguously evil. And in kind of creating kind of the space where they could just be a people, work just to just have a different kind of a less a less technology driven really culture, and a more violent kind of culture. They can be a faction with which to parlay with, or somebody to fight. And then they found that both factions were kind of having trouble with there was an infestation of rats, and the goblins were feeding the rats so that the rats wouldn't bother the goblins. And Shane's group found the mama rat and killed her. So now all the rats are like running scared and don't populate the dungeon anymore. And so now like when we roll for random encounters, there's like no chance of like rats showing up anymore. And like having it being a living, breathing place where roleplay still exists is really freaking cool. So anyways, guys, my girlfriend's home, so I'm gonna call it a day, but it's been a good stream. So I'll see you guys on Tuesday. We'll talk more about this stuff on Thursday. So I'll see you then.